What is something unrealistic that you often see in movies that annoys the hell out of you? People climbing through ductwork to get in between rooms. Most ducts are not big enough for a person to fit in. Attorneys pacing around during a trial and attorneys approaching the judge without asking. My personal favorite is when a new, damning piece of evidence or witnesses is presented in the middle of trial to the complete surprise of the opposing party. Like, sorry buddy, but discovery deadline was a month ago. You should know this. Women waking up and going to sleep with a full face of makeup. Turning on the TV and what they needed to hear is on TV in the right channel at the right time. Always being able to take off work to go on last vacations and always having the money for last-minute flights. People taking their eyes off the road for like 5 seconds. Whenever someone is working on a vehicle, they are quite often using a pipe wrench or huge crescent wrench. Neither are going to get you too far working on a vehicle. Blows to the head, knocking someone out for exactly as long as is convenient for the plot with no long-term consequences whatsoever. Even otherwise realistic shows and movies are guilty of this. In reality, and blow to the head strong enough to knock you out is likely to cause brain damage or even death. Walking up to a microphone and it squeals feedback. Always. In reality, that shouldn't happen unless the sound person is a moron. Immediate DNA results. Patient has flatlined. Shock him. Grip strength. People hanging off of anything. One-handed. For long times. Holding on to other people. Pulling themselves up. General population can't do a pull-up. Rom-coms. Not just explaining their motives or actions. Action, thriller. Not lying when they have a gun to their head. It's always say nothing or the truth in an interrogation scene. People with long hair. Often women. Fighting with their hair down. The food. The poor. Long-suffering food. No one eats it. No one enjoys it. People go to restaurants primarily to order something, have it arrive, and then have an argument and storm out. ETA. Now already in this comment thread many times. 1. Food is a nightmare to shoot for continuity, quality, actors getting full reasons. 2. Yes. We all hate the someone cooks an epic breakfast and someone else just runs through and grabs a piece of toast scene. And it's always toast. And what psychopath eats a whole piece of dry toast without anything to wash it down? 3. Yes. Brad Pitt eats. And Chris Pratt. Women shipwrecked wearing sleeveless tops and not having underarm hair. Next time you see two characters having a conversation in the front of a car, pay attention to the rearview mirror. More often than not, it's been removed for a cleaner shot of the characters. Any movie where the villain who is beating the shit out of the hero decides to brag or monologue before killing them, which gives the hero enough time for a sneak attack or for somebody else to intervene. There is obviously no coffee in the cup. The beatings people take and how quickly they get up from devastating blows. When there are two armies marching toward each other in formation, but as soon as the battle starts it all breaks up into thousands of one-on-one melee duels, completely ignoring the importance of unit cohesion, discipline, training, and morale. In medieval fantasy, whenever there is a siege weapon they fire one shot and then charge. Like, bitch, it took you a month to erect that trebuchet and you're only going to fire it once? During the siege scene in The King, they sat around for days and days hurling stones at the castle until the wall finally fell and I was like, yes, thank you. That autistic kids are either dumb as fuck or they are like the next step in evolution. Need a guy out of plot for a little while? Why not just hit him on the head really hard? Yeah. He'll probably just have a nap and a 10-second headache when he wakes up. Courtroom confessions. But also just courtroom scenes in general. First, nobody confesses to a crime while on the witness stand at somebody else's trial. Nobody. Second, have you been to court? It's 97% waiting around. 2% wondering if you have time to go to the bathroom. And 1% anything to do with you or your case. Bad guy receives a mortal wound like a point-blank gunshot to the torso or deep knife wound and just lays there bleeding profusely for a minute with the protagonist immediately forgetting about them. Then is able to somehow stand up and have like an 8-round boxing match with the protagonist before finally being finished off. When people slice the palm of their hand open for a drop of blood. That shit will take forever to heal. Just prick your finger. Damn. Empty cups and cans and suitcases. For crying out loud. Just put some water in that Starbucks cup. Give our brains a little help ignoring the glaring ignorance to the laws of fluid dynamics, gravity, and the human musculoskeletal system. Working as a waitress, or some other near minimum wage, poverty wage job and having excessive time off and money and things like huge houses. Fuckers who yank out their IVs. Tugged on mine once and I fucking cried. Complete lack of legal consequences. I need to kill the time-traveling baddie by stealing this cop's gun and knocking him out. Yay, I succeeded. What do you mean? I am now under arrest for multiple felonies including murder and assaulting a police officer. Translating an ancient text but then it still rhymes. Gunshot to the leg and they can still walk. One to the lungs and they're breathing fine. One in the heart and they either die instantly or spend a whole minute talking. It is 10 to 20 seconds, not 6 minutes. The standard car flips over 5 times and catches on fire, and every single fucking time, Vin Diesel walks out unscathed. When someone obviously lies, stammering and umming and awing and looking this way and that, and everyone in the audience can see they're lying, but the person they're lying to, staring them in the face from 2 feet away, completely believes them. Somebody writing flawless code in 60 seconds. Silencers do not mute the gun. It only makes the sound more tolerable. How it takes less than a week to develop a vaccine for a global pandemic, and by a brilliant scientist who was kicked out of their institution for being too radical. No cleanup after sex. Or before. How mature the high school students look. Have you ever looked at a high school yearbook? Heroes never reloading their weapons. Finding car keys. Hidden behind a car's sun visor. I don't know a single real human who has ever used this method when stashing keys. Never saying goodbye. Or equivalent. When finishing a phone call, they just hang up. Also, making plans with someone without specifying the time and or place. So no one's gonna talk about how in a 1 versus 5 to 6 fight scene all the attackers wait for their turn to get their ass kicked by the alpha guy one by one, and not attacking him altogether? People Googling exactly what's happening to them and getting the answers they're looking for. Happens a lot in scary movies. A house is being haunted by the ghost of a tall man, and the owners Google, "tall man ghost," and find exactly the article that explains who the ghost is and what happened to him. I need information from this computer. Tech guy runs over and starts hammering wildly on the keyboard. I'm in. The keyboard is plugged into a Xbox. And the OS is Windows 2000. When some stranger comforts or distracts a kid from something horrible with some bullshit, the kid just saw their mom get eaten by a werewolf. A toy train and the hero hugging them does nothing. I also hate how most kids act like drugged up placid morons. Blowing up a grainy picture makes it clearer. I really want to see someone just roll their ankle in an action movie. Minor injuries happen so often IRL, but nobody in movies ever jumps off a roof and just kinda lands weird. People are either totally fine or have life-threatening injuries. Fighters wearing heels. Especially if it's the majority of them. It's not that you can't learn to run in them. It's just it seems pointless to wear something while fighting that not only works against you, it causes long-term damage to your heel while actively moving in them. Edit. Also, rip their feet for any stunt people that couldn't use normal shoes for those scenes. Has a 10-course meal right in front of them. Grabs strawberry. Honey, I gotta run. How bullets are flying all over and the good guys don't get hit once. 1. Getting a parking spot right in front of the address in a big city. 2. Falling 15 feet and then catching yourself by one hand on a tiny protrusion. 3. A character just enters the house and starts talking. Even when the scene is in an interior room. No doorbell. No getting the door. 4. Adults walking around an elementary school without being questioned or accosted by staff. The fight or flight response doesn't seem to exist in horror movies. If I come across a friend's dead body in the woods, my first instinct isn't to investigate the scene. I am getting the fuck out of there and calling the police. Edit. In the context that the presence of a killer is there. Guns with infinite ammo. Guns that magically do whatever you need them to at that moment. Fancy door won't open? Shoot the door's control panel. Door won't close? Shoot the control panel. Need to stop a countdown? Shoot it until it stops. Need to make a crane drop something but don't know how to operate it? Do you have a gun? Oh hey op who I went to college with. As an ethnobiologist from a tough upbringing in the urban center of Chicago. Where I kept my nose in the books and stayed out of trouble so I could be the first from my family to go to college. I hate expository dialogue. Nobody seems to need to use the bathroom frequently or even eat food over long periods of time. In a horror movie, everyone acts insanely stupid. No one ever believes each other. They go outside to investigate a loud noise when there's been a string of murders, etc. The inaccuracies about how the hero jumps from a great height and is unharmed, how they escape out of hospitals or treat their wound themselves. It's impossible, literally FFS. People drinking vast amounts of alcohol, then appearing perfectly fine in the next scene. Look at Raiders of the Lost Ark. Marion outdrinks a Nepalese person that's twice her size. Okay, fine. But then she goes on to cleaning the bar and helping Indy in a firefight without a sign of being impaired. Morning breath doesn't exist. Sound in the vacuum of space. Kids come to the kitchen for breakfast before school. Mom has a stack of pancakes and toast on table ready to be eaten. Kid grabs one piece of toast and runs out the door. Mom just smiles. Also, where I live it's still dark when going to school from late November to early February. This isn't unrealistic in movies. Just annoying. Enhance. Enhance.